Hello, dear friends. In this video, we will talk about the upcoming ingression of Jupiter in Cancer. This will be a prediction for the next 1 year from June 2025 until June 2026. This is a really beneficial time because Jupiter, the planet of opportunities, growth, expansion, and success, is moving into a very strong sign. In Cancer, Jupiter is exalted. So we have more possibilities, we have more beneficial, nurturing energy. And in this video, I want to guide you through the whole path from the very beginning when Jupiter enters Cancer in June 2025 until the very end, 1 year later. So month by month, we will check what are the general influences, what is coming together with the Jupiter energy. And I will give you exact positions with specific degrees so that you can check also if this is gonna apply to your chart more personally. So pay attention to the degrees that I will be mentioning and feel free to add plus minus 1, 2 degrees, even if it's not exact, but if you have like plus minus 1 degree or even two away from this position, then it will still impact you. It will still have an influence in your chart. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Marina. I've been an astrologer for 12 years already. It's a very interesting journey, which honestly started for me last time when Jupiter was in Cancer. Cancer is my ascendant, so for me, this is something really important. And just a very quick idea or advice, you might want to go back 12 years ago and explore what has happened in your life. It doesn't mean that absolutely the same things will happen. Of course not. Every time the cycle is new, there are other things around it, but you may still get some kind of idea. So try to remember, or maybe you already know, what was relevant, what was important for you 12 years ago, the last time when Jupiter was in Cancer. Also, very soon, we will have a special workshop specifically dedicated to Jupiter in Cancer. At the end of this video, I will present more about this. You can also check the links below. This will be a very deep, very advanced, in-depth training on how to work with Jupiter's transits, how to work with Jupiter in general, how to combine it with other methods, how to find basically the connections in the chart. So it will be very, very interesting and practical. Again, at the end of the video, we'll talk more about this. So what happens first? We need to check the different aspects that Jupiter will be making with the other planets while it's transiting Cancer, because it will show us if those energies, those Jupiter energies, will be supported by the other planets, or there might be some kind of conflicts, there might be some kind of challenges. And one of the most important things when we have an ingression like this is to check the first and the last aspect that the planet is making while it's in the sign, because this can show us how things tend to begin and how they end. So let's take a look. I have prepared a presentation for you so that you can see with your own eyes all of those interesting Jupiter positions. So June 2025, Jupiter is moving to Cancer. And during the first month, we have some really intense aspects. Square with Saturn on the 15th of June and square with Neptune on the 19th of June. Those aspects, they are not affecting us only on those days, but they will be kind of like background energy during the whole month, even during the upcoming month. So if you have planets in the first degrees of the cardinal signs, for you, this will be very important. And we all need to find the balance between Jupiter, which is related to the desire for expansion, the desire to grow, and at the same time, the need to respect some kind of boundaries. Maybe things will not happen as fast as we want to. Maybe we will need to make some kind of sacrifices. If we want to grow in certain area, we need to give up on something else, or we need to put something else on hold, to pause, or to just leave it for later. So Saturn squaring Jupiter at the very beginning means that if we want to grow, if we want to expand something new, first, we need to make sure that there isn't anything unnecessary and anything excessive. So if we are wasting our time, our attention, if we are trying to do 100 things at the same time, probably it won't work. So Saturn wants us to cut out everything which is not necessary. With Neptune squaring Jupiter at the very beginning, we might wanna, or we might need to make some kind of sacrifices too. So something may seem in one way, but maybe it's not realistic. We need to be very careful about how realistic we are. So the more grounded and realistic we are, the more results we can accomplish. Again, especially important for people who have planets within the first, I would say, 5 degrees of the cardinal signs: Cancer, Aries, Capricorn, and Libra. But even if you have planets in other signs around those degrees, you will still have some connection with this combination, with those aspects. So overall, pay attention to the degrees, the exact degrees. You can open your chart and see if you have planets around those degrees. Even if they're in other signs, there will still be some kind of impact in your chart. So the first phase of the cycle, or the first phase of this ingression, can be more challenging for us, especially during June. We need to be prepared for that. But again, Jupiter is very strong. So there is an opportunity to outgrow this, to open up to something new. But again, without anything unnecessary, without anything, with basically no waste. During the other aspects during June also, at the end of the month, we have a conjunction between the Sun and Jupiter, also on the 4th degree. And there is a new moon on the same degree. This is very important because the conjunction between the Sun and Jupiter, this is the first one in Cancer for the last 12 years. So it's important. And this can bring us the opportunity to realize something, to have more awareness about something. So I personally think that this is a helpful indication that we have the conjunction between Jupiter and the Sun very early after the ingression, because this can help us to become more like consciously aware of our goals, our dreams, our desires, where do we want to expand, in which direction we want to go. So it's a really, really nice time to analyze yourself, your own life, and where do you want to go. Of course, again, if you have planets around those degrees, it will be even more important for you. And the new moon with Jupiter is, of course, a great time for a new beginning, for setting up some new goals with different awareness, with different focus. Pluto also has a quincunx with Jupiter, so it could be very transformative. It could be quite intense. And overall, this combination between Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter has a lot to do with some kind of also social goals, or how we communicate with hierarchy, with collectives, with groups of people. So especially if this is relevant to you, those things may get through some kind of changes. After that, during July, actually, we don't have any new aspects. So July is pretty calm, but we still have this Saturn energy in the background. Not that intense because Jupiter is already moving into the next degrees, but for the most part of July, we can still feel kind of like the echo from the Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune square. So still important for people who have planets in the first few degrees, but not that intense. So July, things are kind of like, becoming smoother, becoming, I would say, softer. After that, during August, we have one of the greatest aspects. And spoiler alert, it will repeat one more time towards the end of the cycle. But this is the first time. So on the 12th of August, Venus will have a conjunction with Jupiter on the 15th degree in Cancer. So please check if you have any planets, cusps of houses around the 15th degree, especially if it's in Cancer or the cardinal signs, but even in the other signs. This is a really beneficial combination which can bring something very positive as an emotional experience, more closeness for relationships. This is great for financial success. This is also great. So August seems to be quite beneficial without any tense aspects involving Jupiter. After that, during September, we have a bit of tension because Mars will square Jupiter around the 19th degree. So check those degrees. If you have them, then you may feel some kind of either impatience or desire to do too many things, or sometimes you may do things without kind of like considering the energy that you need to put into them, like doing a lot, but not necessarily doing it in a very efficient way, or not really kind of like being mindful with the energy you put into things. So for some kind of intense work or more effort, it's a beneficial time. But again, we need to be mindful because sometimes it could be a bit of a waste, a bit of like too much unnecessary things, or not very efficient actions. There might be some kind of conflicts around this time, especially with people who have different visions, different philosophy, maybe different religious beliefs. So overall, in the social environment, this can bring some kind of tension. But the Sun and Mercury will have a sextile with Jupiter. The degree is the 20th degree around the middle of the month, the middle of September, which can bring more balancing and more awareness. So during September, the most important is don't rush things without first analyzing, thinking about them, and kind of like allowing them to sink through you. Because if you're too impatient, basically things could be more unpleasant. But the Sun in Mercury in Virgo in sextile with Jupiter suggests that if you plan things, if you look at things carefully, then you can be much more efficient. So again, the month, I wouldn't call it negative. There are some challenges, but there is also a solution for sure. Next, October is more busy, so to speak. And what do we see here? So Mercury will square Jupiter. This is not that intense. It's just for a couple of days at the beginning. So the 23rd degree. Please pay attention. If you have planets, you will be more influenced if that's the case. Venus will have a sextile with Jupiter around the 8th of October, which is a harmonious aspect, especially if you have planets around the 24th degree. The Sun will square Jupiter around the 17th of October. So this is potentially bringing more challenges or the need to reevaluate something, to change something about our own personal goals. At the end of the month, Mercury has a trine with Jupiter. So Mercury is very active during this month. And we may find some solutions, some kind of ideas, or even if the communication or the planning was not going very well at the beginning of the month, towards the end of the month, things could be more productive. And at the end of the month, also Mars will have a trine with Jupiter. This is very important because Mars is also very strong at this time. Mars is in Scorpio. So towards the end of the month, we have more potential to be efficient, to get things done, to complete, not only to complete, but also to follow our own ambitions, to take action on our own goals and dreams. And especially if you have planets around the 25th degree of any sign, then this will be more important for you. During November, we have a very interesting, important shift. So Saturn and Jupiter now will have a trine. Remember at the beginning during June, they have a square. Saturn is in Aries, Jupiter is at the beginning of Cancer, so they are squaring each other. But towards November and also December, we will see, Saturn is moving back to Pisces, Jupiter is fastly moving into more into Cancer, so they will have a trine. This is very beneficial for some kind of social goals. If you want to do something related to career changes, related to working more consistently on your goals. Overall, this is a very important combination because also Uranus is part of this. Even though Uranus doesn't have exact aspect with Jupiter, that's why I haven't put it in our table, but here you can see that they are connected in a harmonious configuration. This is called a bisextile. So for all of us, this is very important when it comes to goals, especially if we wanted them to be long term, especially if we want to change something because of Uranus also, and if we want to grow. Especially important if you have planets around the 25th, 26th degree of any sign, especially Pisces and Cancer, where Saturn and Jupiter are. So overall, November is very active. You can see there are different aspects here. There are a few trines. So Jupiter with Saturn, the Sun with Jupiter, Mercury retrograde again with Jupiter, Venus with Jupiter. So November is very, very active, potentially very productive. So if you want to commit to something and go deep and make it again long lasting, it's a really nice time. After that, during December, we don't have that many changes, but the Saturn-Jupiter aspect is still around. So Jupiter at this point is actually retrograde, so it's moving very slowly. So if you have planets around the 25th, 26th degree, this is still gonna affect you. So you can still kind of like put some kind of structure, create structure, organize things, and what you are doing again can bring you more stability and may bring long-lasting results. So for some kind of serious work, especially if it's more about practical things or career project, November and December are very, very beneficial. Mercury will have also a trine, so basically this will turn into a grand trine, actually even a kite configuration. So November and December are potentially very productive. And then we get to a very different picture. So during January, it feels like we are turning another page. So it really feels like something new coming to the surface. The Saturn-Jupiter aspect is still in the background, but not that intense. So basically, the planets are no longer in exact trine. But look at what's happening in Capricorn. So we have the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Mercury all together in a big stellium in opposition with Jupiter. So between the 10th and the 14th, all of the personal planets, the Sun, Venus, Mars, and Mercury, all of them will have opposition with Jupiter. So this can feel like some form of provocation, some form of in relationships, things can be very intense. It's not necessarily bad. So Jupiter is a planet which always brings the opportunity for growth. So if we are ready to see things from a different perspective, if we are ready to change, to adjust our goals, then again, this could be a beneficial time, but it's more intense. Here, the most important is to have some kind of awareness. Jupiter basically will not be part of closed configuration. So you can see Jupiter is a bit isolated from the other planets. Only the oppositions with the planets in Capricorn are active. If you have planets around the 21st degree, this is especially important for you. And again, it's time to change something, to have more awareness and to recognize also which are the things that maybe you don't like, what would you like to change. So it's a month for kind of like getting more awareness. After that, during February, the month is not too dynamic. Mercury and Venus have trines with Jupiter, so the 16th degree is very active during February. So you might want to check if you have planets there. And Mercury and Venus, they suggest that we can have some interesting ideas around this time. It's a good time for planning, for emotional matters, for art. This is also a great time. So the energy is significantly softer compared to January. So January is one of the most intense months. February, the picture is very different. After that, during March, we have some trines, also from the Sun, Mercury, even Mars. And this also brings more action, more energy to do things, to plan things, to take action on the things that we want. Again, Jupiter is at the 16th degree. This is around the time when Jupiter is turning direct. So 16 degree of Cancer. There is one square with Venus, which is not a really challenging aspect. It's more about reevaluating something. So we may need to reevaluate something. After that, during April, the Sun will square Jupiter again and Mercury as well. So Mercury has two aspects. So there are a bit of changes here. It's not too intense, even though we have aspects. The most active positions are 16th, 17th, 19th degree. So during April, those will be the main triggers. If you have planets there, then, but they are not too kind of like long lasting. They are more like short term combinations. After that, during May, we have two harmonious aspects, which are also not lasting really long. The 21st degree of Cancer is the most active during May. This is already 26. So the Sun and Mercury, as we said, we can see them here, both of them in Taurus. And finally, June. Basically at the end of the June, the very end of the month, Mercury Jupiter is gonna move to Leo. But before that, on the 9th, we are gonna have another conjunction between Venus and Jupiter. So the two benefactors joining together. This is a really fantastic combination, especially if you have planets around the 26th degree of Cancer or in any other sign. So for you, this will be even more important. But even if you don't have planets, there is still a house somewhere where you have this degree. So check in which house this falls, because in this area, you may have more luck. It's a great time to do something, something that will bring you more positive emotions, something that will feel nice, something that may lead to success. So during June, we have this really, really nice combination. And the very end, the 28th of June, Mars is having a sextile. Mars is gonna be in Taurus, I believe. Yes, Mars is going to be in Taurus in sextile with Jupiter. So this is going to be the very, very last aspect, and it's a harmonious one. So as I told you, this is one of the general principles. When we have an ingression of a planet in a new sign, we need to check the first aspect this planet is going to have and the last one. And this will show us more like how things start, how they begin, and how they end. So things are going to start in a more challenging way. The first aspects Jupiter has are squares with Saturn and Neptune. So that's intense. But the last aspect, a year later, is sextile between Mars and Jupiter. It's not a really long-lasting aspect, but it's still showing that something will be changed, something will be different. So this is important to know, especially if you have planets around the last degrees, the 30th degree. Then for you, this will be even more important. So very, very intense transformative energies. As you can see, we have different months. Some months are calmer, some months are more intense. And if you would like to learn more about Jupiter in Cancer, about the Jupiter transits overall, then you are welcome to join our workshop, which will be on the 31st of May. It will be available as a recording if you want to join later or if you can't join live. This workshop will include a few parts. So we will talk generally about the Jupiter in astrology, how to define the most important themes, how to interpret it in your natal chart. We will talk about the principles of the transits. How long are they? How to define the speed, how to define repetitive aspects, which will be more important than just single aspects. We will talk about specific combinations. What if Jupiter has a trine with your sun or opposition with your moon or all of those combinations? We will explore them. I will show you also how to combine the Jupiter transits with other predictive techniques, which is very important. How to combine it with other aspects, let's say from Saturn, from Uranus, from Neptune, from Pluto, how they work together. This is, again, very, very important if you want to understand the full picture. And also, we will talk about how you can find indications for career growth or for relationship opportunities or different important life events. What would be the indication from Jupiter that you need to look for that may indicate such possibilities and such changes? There will be some examples, there will be discussions. We will talk about the impact of Jupiter in Cancer for the different signs. So it will be a very, I would say, intense, very informative, and also practical workshop. And there are different options. If you want to join, you can just have the workshop plus also the recording. After that, there is another option to get a personal report. This is very interesting because here I will give you the time specifically for you, which are those times during the year which will be most important, how to prepare for them, which areas could be related to those changes. I will also check if there are other important indications, basically how it combines with your whole prediction. So if you want personalized analysis, you can also have it. And one more option, the most advanced option, is with all of those things. So the workshop, the astrology analysis, you can also have 5 Astro GSR sessions. They are personal, and basically they are focused on working with subconscious blockages, patterns, limitations, which are holding you back from growing somewhere or achieving something or expanding. Basically, We are going to accelerate your potential and ability to grow. This is not um, this is not something that will magically resolve everything in the external world. This is something that will change you on the inside. This is more important. And then you can take things in your own control. You can take your own life in your own control. You can do things that you were not able to do before that. So this is a really fantastic method. That's why I'm combining it with astrology. So if you are interested, please check the links below for more information about the curriculum of our workshop. And for Jupiter in Cancer, open up for new opportunities. One of the really important themes will be related also to emotional connections or emotional healing or doing something that brings you emotional fulfillment. Jupiter in Cancer is not about doing something that is only practical and it's smart to do and it will be beneficial. This can work more for Jupiter in the earth signs. When Jupiter is in Cancer, the most important, the first question is to ask yourself, what brings me emotional fulfillment? What brings me the chance also to feel safe, to feel relaxed, to feel comfortable? And from this place, with this energy, you can grow and you can achieve much more when Jupiter is in Cancer. So that's also like a general recommendation. So thank you very much for joining me. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out or to ask in the comments. And yeah, I will wait for you on our workshop for Jupiter in Cancer.